El CAJAS, source of water, source of life. Between the sky and earth, an exceptional landscape, unique. Witness of passage of time and of the evolution of life. The Massif of El CAJAS, only representative of Andean highland moor, located in the western mountain chain of the Andes, near the Pacific Ocean coast, irrigates Tomabamba Valley, and then nourishes the Paute River system, and crosses the immense Amazon region, finally flowing into the Atlantic Ocean. We are in Ecuador. Influenced by systems such as the Choco or the Tumbesina region, El CAJAS is in the intermediate area between the central Andes of the north and the Andes of the south, and this makes it a very special area of Andean life. A highland moor island. Historically, its name comes from Quechua CAJAS, whose translation is cold, referring to the type of climate known as highland moor. When night falls, haze invades the park and the temperature decreases drastically, causing thick fog and intense cold. The CAJAS freeze. There is something that makes El CAJAS climate very special. The humid air that comes from the coast clashes here with the cold air that ascends from the east and also with the dry air from the marine current of El Niño, causing the extremely unusual and variable humid climate that we find in the park, alternating between periods of intense sun, fog, and heavy rain, especially in winter. Here, the cycle of life continues its course. From immemorial times, El CAJAS has been and is a source of water. El CAJAS is the origin of the main affluents of the Tomabamba River. It is the principal source of water of the city of Cuenca. Like a natural sponge, the highland moor collects and absorbs rainwater and dampness and incorporates it into its natural reserve, protecting the low zones of the flood basins and cyclically regulating water supply. During the winter months, the climate is wet and foggy. Morning dew is captured by the highland moor's vegetation and moss, originating small flows that are filtered through until they arrive at the lakes and then to the rivers that water the valleys near El CAJAS. This quality foments a multitude of species of flora and fauna that find their natural habitat in El CAJAS, allowing life to evolve in the diverse ecosystems that this national park offers. Most of the area is highland moor, a young type of ecosystem, extremely fragile, but very essential to capture and regulate the water of El CAJAS. Thus, we have the pajonal, the pillow moor, the lake vegetation, and also the quinoa forests and the enigmatic paper tree. Meanwhile, in the low zones, we have beautiful primary montano forest reserves. All this allows El Cajas to have a great variety of species of plants, fowl, mammals, and reptiles. We also have 15 different amphibian species, typical of places where the quality of water and forest must be very high. Many of these species are endemic, which means that they are not found anywhere else in the world. And what is fascinating about them is that they have managed to adapt to the extremely cold conditions of El Cajas. And how was the impressive geography of this place shaped? The answer is found in the Quaternary period of the Earth, also known as the Ice Age. "300,000 years ago, El Cajas was an immense glacier. At the beginning of the Ice Age, the period known as the Pleistocene, the average temperature of the Earth was below zero. From 3,600 meters and above, an immense ice cap covered the surface of the Earth. El Cajas is an impressive example of this part of the geomorphological history of the equatorial Andes. Although their peaks are not very high, their altitude was sufficient to capture the snow that fell in that era, and caused large ice and land movements that modified and transformed the geography and soil in a singular way. Ice was accumulated in a large compact cap on the surface. Weight and gravity caused these caps to form glaciers and created ice tongues that slid slowly downward, eroding the land and forming the characteristic valleys in U form that we see in El Cajas. Thus, we find valleys such as Quinoas or Soldados, which are the origin of the Tomebamba Valley. This is the way the Yaviuku Lake was formed 13,000 years ago, when a moraine accumulated at its lower limit, which prevented circulation of the river downward and created the lake. This moraine delimited the glacial valley during the long melting process. Finally, glacial water broke through this barrier and created the downward flow of the Yaviuku River. Furthermore, the surface of El Cajas contains many other evidences of the glacial process. If something distinguishes and stands out in El Cajas as a result of the long climatic change, it is the immense quantity of lakes that it has. Due to the effect of large holes caused by ice and the blockade of the moraines, more than 235 lakes were formed. They are part of the lake system of El Cajas, one of the highest concentrations known in the world, and possibly the vastest variety of glacial lakes that exist in the northern ranges of the Andes. Observing these practically intact evidences, El Cajas becomes an environmental record of the Ice Age. An exceptional place, where one can study the tropical glaciations of South America, and on a global scale, to better understand the climatic changes that we are living through nowadays. Geological transformation, geographical location, and climate have made of El Cajas a very special place, a perfect habitat for species concentration and life. Both plants and animals have found a habitat where water and resources abound, and the mountain's protection has made of El Cajas a fascinating and isolated Andean refuge that permits evolution of species unique in the world. One of the most wonderful examples is known as the paper tree. Polylepis is a type of highland tree which is characteristic of the cold climate. Its nickname comes from its bark that, as time goes by, ages and detaches itself from the trunk, molting as if it were skin. It is fascinating, the symbiosis that occurs between the polylepis and the moss, the bromeliads, and lichens that cohabit with it. They depend on each other. The moss retains rainwater and thus helps to maintain the dampness that the quinoa forest needs, while the tree offers warmth and support for the moss. In this way, the polylepis forest allows exceptional animals to live together, as in the case of the violet-necked hummingbird, which comes from the Metallura typical of the East. Furthermore, in El Cajas we can find unusual species such as the incredible fishing mouse that captures its food in the water, an undocumented colubrida snake, new to science, rare in highland habitats due to the altitude and the cold. Or the jambato, a toad in danger of extinction, which for its survival depends on a healthy environment, good water quality, and well-preserved forests. As long as these species continue alive, we will know that El Cajas is still a healthy place. Furthermore, the fact that El Cajas has small forest ecosystems in very reduced areas allows it to have a really important number of fowl, such as the bluebird, the quinde, and the tangara, very representative of the highland moor as well as the forest. Therefore, El Cajas is a key area for fowl conservation in Ecuador. Likewise, there is an incredible floral mosaic in El Cajas. We can find numerous medicinal plants, such as the chuquiragua, salvia, and valerian. Flora, fauna, and habitat are interrelated and form part of the complex, wonderful, and extremely fragile ecosystems that El Cajas National Park preserves. Life is integrated in a unique and direct dependency with the park, where its conservation depends on all its elements. El Cajas becomes then a living treasure of the Andes of southern Ecuador, our patrimony of life.